So I had this information come to me. I think most of it's correct of what I've got written here, maybe 95%. Maybe it's less. I don't know. If you want to read on it and see what you get, that would be great. Comment. Um, because I'm trying to understand what I'm seeing, and I am not a mechanical mind. I'm not a scientist, not a mathematician. I did not like geometry class. So I'm not a computer programmer or a IT person. So you're going to have to take this with a grain of salt or figure out what I'm saying here. So dot world, um, another way of looking at the world, the empty world. So the first thing that came to me was Minecraft. I was playing this many years ago when it first came out, and I didn't like it because you have to click in this spot to create a 3D thing, like to break apart something and build something. And it was like trying to build 3D on a flat screen. It was just so irritating to me. I just didn't like it. But I was trying to play it because of the kid I was with wanted to play it. But it's similar how we use a computer for everything to create a 3D world here inside of our computer. So we get on it every day and we look at everything and it looks like a real world in there. But anyway, I think we're in a mind program or simulation. So that's what I'm gonna talk about here. So why everything is so tedious just to do simple things, it's because this whole world is perception and nothingness. Because if you take a point, so let's just make our little dot here. Oops, I didn't do my pen. Let's see how easy this is going to be because I got to do it with my mouse. So if you take a point, I got a point here. It's not really there. It's your point of focus. So this dot is our point of focus. You create the point with your attention on it because we're the batteries here. We're the life force here. So if we're inside a computer simulation, we create the point with our attention. And it's a world of mirrors, like I said, mirrors and screens inside of screens, like infinity mirrors. So if you use a mirror on this dot and you mirror it, you get a second dot. So now you're seeing two dots and your consciousness or your perception starts to see a line between those. So you're seeing a line, and with the soul hypnotized, it's probably being told to see that line, to connect the dots, the 2 points. And then if you just keep using a series of mirrors, you mirror this dot again, you have another dot, and mirror over here. For this one, you have another dot. So now you have 4 points. And if you just keep seeing lines, now you're creating a flat plane, 2D. Now you have a shape, even though we only really have 1 point that didn't really exist to begin with, except for our perception on it. So if you slice this diagonally, you have 2 triangles. Well, that was good. I really need a stylus pen, but so you have 2 wobbly triangles. And if you put a mirror effect behind, if you take one of those triangles, put a mirror effect behind it, now you have a leg coming off this, like these 3. You're going to have, this leg coming off it. Or you could have like a tripod. But really the space in here is empty. I mean, if you mirror these this way, you have this 3-legged thing, but this is all empty because you're going to keep connecting these dots, right? It's going to make it look 3D, but it's really just empty space in there. There's nothing there. Um, so it's kind of like when you use a computer, you don't actually make a circle in a computer. When you see a circle on a computer screen, it's actually a series of little bitty lines that are so small that they appear to the eye as a circle, not just a bunch of jagged lines. So it appears to our eye or our perception as a circle. So it's just more points or dots. And that's how this world is. So that's why scientists say everything, like with that tripod, everything's made of empty space. There's nothing here. You know, when they keep looking deeper and deeper, they're like, it's empty space. There's nothing here. It's because it's just a point. It's all we have is right here. And it's just been, that point has been mirrored a jillion times. So if we take this flat plane we have and use more mirrors, we can pull out oh my God, this is getting worse, these points, as I'm trying to hurry. We can pull out forget how you draw one of these. Suddenly we're gonna have, oops, suddenly we're gonna have a table, right? I don't know what I just did. Why is it not erasing? Sorry, guys. So now you have these four legs coming off this thing, and you have a table, which can be made into a cube. So here we go with the 3D, filling in that space. So now we have this cube, but there's still nothing in there. It's empty space. It's just a freaking point getting mirrored in all these directions, and our perception, our eye, draws the lines. So we're just going to keep seeing more and more lines connect. So we have a cube, which is what we're in, right? It's the tesseract or the cubes, the virtual universes. So this is why I keep saying we're in 4D, not 3D. Because a cube, we're told, is 3D, but there's nothing in here. So I don't know. So if you keep mirroring everything, eventually you can get a spiral shape, even though you can't make round shapes, you can make a spiral. So if we, if we put a point here and mirror it and mirror it and mirror it and whatever, you can start to get a spiral shape. And everything here is made of that shape. So I have written here, I'm reading notes that are from 2 weeks ago. So I haven't even looked at these. X marks the spot. So that keeps coming to me and keeps coming to me and keeps coming to me. X marks the spot. And I know the eclipses, which that's interesting. I mentioned those at the beginning of this because it's just now coming back to me. But somebody said the eclipses where they're crossing is like a key area. I don't have the image handy to show you, but I'm wondering if these eclipses are involved right now with everything going down. But X marks the spot has been coming to me over and over and over again. And because 2 weeks have passed, I don't remember all of the details about that and other people talking about it. So if somebody does remember all of that, please comment. X marks the spot, time, a capsule, and a capsule. So out of all of this, at some point you make a pod shape. So, all right, I don't remember what I was getting on this, but time and a capsule, you make a pod shape. So somewhere I went with this into a pod shape, and I was getting the words encephalopod, like everything's a pod. Um, and then us being in pods, like our avatars. And I've seen those. And it's just like the original movie where they get in those pods and they're controlling the blue, whatever those were. Um, and they're laying in it. It looks very similar to what I've seen us in. So us being in pods and also time capsule, drug capsules, time. So it's all connected. Um, the drugs could possibly be causing our perception too, but it's making me think right now about that ship that's over us with that sound frequency. All right, but anyway, this X marks the spot. So the X is somewhere where it is the origin point. It's that one dot point. So if this was our original dot right here, X marks the spot. I apologize. I don't know where I went with this, but anyway, the X marks the spot might be talking about the origin point. It's that dot point that everything else spun out of with all the mirrors. And then you have time, the word time, which backwards is emit. So emit is to shine from, to shine light through. So what are they doing here? They're shining light through all these points, which is us. We're that light. We put perception on all these points and we bring it to life and light and bring the light in here and frequency sound in here because everything here is light and sound. Even the stars are like pinholes to emit. I had gotten that the stars were hung. We are the stars that were hung. So we are the stars that were hung. The stars were hung a long time ago. We are the stars that were hung. Stars in the sky are more of these points. So if we start connecting the flat planes, that original square we had, the flat planes together, these are like still frames. So they take 4 points and start connecting these together. It creates movement. It's like a film. Um, when you play a movie on the projector and the film, it's like it has picture, 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 and they're just still shots. But as you run it, they move really fast. So it looks like the scene is moving. There's movement. So in the first, just if you took a photograph and like, every movement, if somebody was walking, their right foot starting to go forward and then it goes forward, the left foot and so on. And you put all those in a row and plate them really fast and emit light through it, you'll see, oh, it's a whole scene. It looks like somebody's walking. Hopefully you know what I'm talking about. So connecting these flat planes or still frames together creates movement here in the dead world. It's a dead, empty world. There's nothing here. It's just a point. All we are doing is seeing 1,000 points of light, 1,000 points moving. So even a spiral can look like it's moving. You ever looked at one of those optical illusions pictures where you look at it, and then if you look at it in a different way, the spiral starts going the other direction? That's what all this is. It's just illusions. So the 1,000 points of light, 1,000 points moving or seeming to move, which happens when you look at your computer screen or any of these screens that we're in. We keep getting put in screen after screen. That's what that whole meta thing is about. They're sucking us into another screen. It's 1,000 points and they shine light through it, and then it all looks real and in color and lit up and moving. It's all a big trick. X marks the spot being the original point that we looked at, and it's a point probably in time. Okay, so X marks the spot being the original point that we looked at, this point here, and it's a point in time, probably in a point in time, because if they are shifting us through still screens, these screens, those are the screens inside of screens, the virtuals inside of virtuals that I've been talking about forever. Are those still frames like in a movie? And so we have to find the origin one to leave here. And I think it's through that machine that spits out time. All right, so that's my notes. So I don't know if you remember my other videos, which are no longer on YouTube, where I talked about that machine that I saw, and it was spitting out time in reverse, and that we were going from the future to the past, and that we exit through that origin point in the past. So we have to find the origin point to leave here. And I think it's through that machine that spits out time. So origin point or dot here. We're going from the future back to the past. I wonder if that origin point has something to do with the infinity symbol, that X, but also the DNA. So the infinity symbol has an X in the center. The DNA is that, shape. There's something more to this. And it's interesting because I put out that video, The Key to the Matrix, after I got this information. So I actually put that out first, and this has just been sitting here. And I did bring the DNA into that video, which had some nice slides, so it looked better than this. But I wrote there's something more to this, and something about signing your name by the X. Sign is a symbol or a sigil, and then you create a set of sigils by the X. So, here, sign your name. We see all these X's, and then you sign your name and you create all these sigils in your name. And there's something about this, like, here's your name in this simulation, moving through this time simulation back towards the X or the origin point. Let me look at this again about the DNA. So the DNA, there's something. Let's just keep going. So when you cross one of these planes or points with another line, you get a transversal plane. So you start getting like, I don't know how to draw it on here, like point, point. I think that's what it is. I don't remember. So you're just taking planes and intersecting them with a mirroring effect is all this is. You're just making flat planes like this square and then just keep mirroring it. That's why everything that we're in is a cube to begin with, a fake empty cube. So the world is fake. You're cube shaped. There's no top or bottom. I mean, where's really up or down? Do we know where up or down is? There is no up or down. And if we're on a globe, right, floating in space, there's no north and south out in space. We're looking up, but if you're down here in this part of the globe and you're looking up, is that up? I mean, we don't know because we're not really here. There's no up or down. There's no nothing. It's just empty. It's just a dot. So take that dot, mirror it. The mind sees a line connecting the two dots, the one in the mirror and the original dot, which is the original point of focus. Putting enough mirrors up, here you start to see shapes, which is so-called sacred geometry. It's how their world works. It's empty. When you see the plane fly overhead, it's a series of dots that have lines connecting them, and then they mirror in still frames, so it looks like it's moving across the sky, when really it is one dot or point of origin, dot world. So these are my thoughts I wrote down. Same thing with computerized video game. You put enough dots in there with lines between them, and you create a whole world. Like it has depth, and you're inside there, and you're shooting people or whatever. Take a spiral, move it forward. Suddenly, you have a tunnel or a portal. So these spirals can appear to be a tunnel. even though you're just looking again at a screen. It's just like AI, the way it thinks is outward, more and more dots. That's AI. They have to keep expanding their intellect out, keep it going out, 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 out from one point. So it's like constantly expanding outward. So they're just going to keep creating more dots, dot, 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 dot. It's just more, more. And that's why they put us in this world of lack or emptiness, so that we want more, 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 more. We're always unsatisfied. We're always yeah, and it's like we never have enough, never have enough. That's an AI way of thinking. So just like AI, the way it thinks outward, more and more dots, all of it is outside the whole. So the whole is the real world. This is the tesseract with all the tiny cubes in it, with all the matrices in it, and the whole or the real world's out here. It's not even in this, other than through us, the sparks of us that came in here. So it chose to pull a point of focus perception out of it, then mirror the point. So basically, it's just saying the same thing again. So the entire world is just mirrored dots. So there, or a mirrored dot. So there is your sacred geometry. This is why we have to give this world life, we as souls, because they need our perception to make it real. And by us perceiving all of this, we give AI a space to move around in, as long as they can keep convincing us this is a real world screen, flat plane inside of a flat plane. They shove us through enough of these mirrors or screens, but it all comes down to something simple, just finding the original point. Without us emitting light and sound to have time, then they can have the movie of still screens, a bunch of points creating an image, lines given light and color, dark black screen is the background, given light and sound. They emit. And when you emit, it creates time. So you shine light through this, starts moving it, moving the tape, the film tape. It's going to create time, because now you have movement instead of a still screen, which is frozen in time. Like if you look at a photograph, you start putting photographs together and run them through a machine like this time machine thing. It creates time because we're seeing movement, and movement is a direction, right? It's going one way or the other. So that's time. When you break this whole world down, there is nothing here except soul or spirit energy. If you drive through town, there is nothing here. So I challenge you to do this. There's only trees and us and the plants and animals, the things that are real, the things that have souls. So I challenge you to drive down the road and see if you can find something that's not a tree, plant, animal, us. Try to find something. The dirt, the crystals, the minerals, which are are from us. We decompose, the plants decompose, and it creates the dirt. So the dirt is us. The buildings you see are made out of materials from the ground. So trees, plants, humans, animals, insects, there's nothing else here except things that are alive. You see buildings and cubes made out of trees and soil and made by humans. Take those down, you see billboards, and those are fake. See strip malls. I don't know if you've ever looked at those strip malls with the facade of the sign, the front facade of it with the sign. It looks like a movie set if you look at it from the side. Take away all the man-made stuff. There's nothing here except souls that have taken on bodies. The soil is decomposition of bodies, of real spirit. Nothing else is here. We are the only real thing here. Everything else is just taking on forms, but we're not even here to begin with. These are soul bodies connected into the whole AI thing. The physical body is a mirror reflection. So basically, our spirit's trapped in the soul body. It's perceiving itself outside of itself to this point, and it creates out of that point a light body, and then we're a mirror reflection of that light body. And then they can just keep mirroring that, shatter our light body and put it into all different places, all these different virtuals inside of virtuals. Tesla quote about everything being light. I don't know where that is, but there's a quote about everything being made up of light, frequency, and energy. There's also the saying that energy is neither created nor destroyed. And I was like, how is that? That just never sat right with me in science class. Energy is neither created nor destroyed. It just changes form. So what the hell does that mean? It means we are in a trapped capsule and can't escape. So we keep getting recycled. That's the energy is never created or destroyed. It's just recycled. So if you think about it, your body dies, decomposes into soil like plants, animals, only living things here. The only things that are here, we make up the soil. That is why we are the children of the living soil. Adam was made from dust of the soil. The soil is alive and things grow out of it. Your parents eat the soil because they eat the plants and animals that ate out of the soil. We all eat each other. We eat our dead relatives who decomposed. They eat the soil and then they give birth to you. Your parents eat the soil basically because they're eating what grew out of it. And then they give birth to you, and you are reborn out of your own ashes again and those of others, the ashes of others. That's warped, isn't it? We are in the time capsule, the so-called sacred geometry prison of lines and perception. And the more they mirror that point and create more lines, the more complex this world gets, the more complex your computer gets. And then as things get more complex, they are no longer simple. That's why, like, just to do a simple thing like draw this line on the computer, I really need a stylus program or I need some kind of special computer program just to draw a freaking line, which is only, that stylus pen's only compatible with certain things. You have to have the right computer, the right whatever. It's so hard to do anything where we as creators can just take a pen and draw a line on a piece of paper in less than a second. But to draw a line on a computer is a big involved process, isn't it? Because it's fake. So the complexity of having to do that on a computer, that's how stupid this world is. But even just taking a pen and paper and drawing it, you have to make the paper. We have to cut a tree down or hemp or whatever, put it into a paper mill, make this paper, and then the pen has to be made. It's a very long process that we take for granted that we have a piece of pen and a paper, but everything here is so difficult because it's just mirror, 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 and it's been made so complex, but it's not real. It's not whole. That's why it's so difficult to do anything because it's all reliant on that one dot and how many times they can mirror that dot and draw lines and get you to perceive those lines. So that if we have light and sound, the sound is the mind programs telling us what we are seeing, the hypnosis, telling us that this is an airplane flying overhead, telling us we feel something. This is all just signals being sent to the brain, and we are the perceiver that brings the light and sound to it. So the brain picks up the signal of what it's being told that it sees, and we being light, I don't know if there's a better word for that than light, but fire, we bring the light and sound to everything. But the sound is coming from the mind programs and the buzzing in the ears. I wonder if the more we say this isn't real, we bring ourselves more back to that self that is playing the game and being hypnotized and told what to see. Because I see us in that avatar pod. So I think the more we say this world isn't real, we're returning back to the real. The perception of what we think we're seeing will start to dissolve. It's going to take us back to that point where we're playing the game inside the pod. Being hypnotized and told what to see, which is what we are doing to ourselves. Okay, I've talked about that in another video too. So I'm always building on stuff I've talked about. So hopefully it's making sense if you're new. So it's a mind world made out of a dot of empty perceived space. The X is also canceling something out, is making it not real, a geometric shaped prison. Because once you start to join lines, you start to create X's, don't you? Look at this. If you take these two lines, you're starting to make X's. It's becoming a prison, a geometric shaped prison. I'm sorry, a geometric shaped prison of perception. That's hard to say. Then the key to it. Okay, so I did the video about the key to the matrix after this, but then the key to it. Why do I feel like it's the key of G? G in the compass. But is it a compass? Because the only thing you can do here is make a perfect circle is to use that tool. So is that whole, that whole G thing, I'm trying to draw it here for you if you haven't been looking at the screen, of the Freemasons. Is it that? Or is it that thing you were given in school that has like the pencil on one side and the point on the other, and and you spin it around and it makes a circle because it's too hard to draw a perfect circle? Is that what this is? And key of G. So the sound is the key of G, the tool to make the circle, which makes what? Because as you move this in, you can adjust this. You start to make a spiral, right? Which makes portals and creates depth. But even when you use one of those, it never ends up, you always like catch the freaking pencil on the paper somewhere and you got a little bump in your circle. You never end up making a perfect one. But anyway, so you need AI to create it, right? You need a machine to create that perfect circle for you. But again, it's just one point. So when you use this tool, you're putting the pencil down on a point, and then you drag it to make the circle, but it's really just one point that hasn't left the paper, but it's just been dragged. Oh, we have a circle now. We have a shape. Oh my God, now it's a sphere. It's 3D. This whole thing's just a trick. All right. So you place the pencil on the paper and draw a line, basically. So what did we do with the original thing? We mirrored another point and we drew a line. So all this is a line from not even point to point, but from one point back to the same point. So we made a circle. So it's a dot again, dot world. So instead of making a cube, they told you to take the point and mirror itself. So it looks like a circle. Sound frequency of G, key of G. I have a question mark there. Turn off the sound frequency. It will turn off the hypnosis and it will stop telling us what we're seeing. And then we will actually see what is here, which is one damn dot. I don't know. Is that what'll happen? I think it'll fade and we'll be where we really are. But all right. So I was recording my voice on these thoughts, and then when I turned it off, a notification popped up on my phone from the Conscious X channel. I was like, oh, X marks the spot. I just see X or X marks the spot everywhere. So it's the point of origin. Consciousness is just perceiving the point, the line, etc. I have a feeling this video is going to be a lot longer than 30 minutes, dang it. This would be a good time to remind you that we hold the power here. We are literally the power source. If we join our minds together, refuse the program, and unite a vision for the future, we can change the direction or destroy it completely that they're trying to force us in this time movement. I think we need to reverse this. And these screens, they're trying to force us in a direction by showing us these screens, and then it traps our perception, and then we just keep living here on this timeline, and it's like, no, this is all fake. So if we join our minds together, refuse the program, meaning what they're telling us to see, and unite a vision for the future, we can change the direction or destroy it completely. We need to hold it a little longer, maximum 150 years. Okay, so what I have there at the end is we cannot take this whole fake world down immediately. We have to let it exist for a little bit longer because their soul's still trapped here. This is what the trees have told me. Their soul's still trapped here and tied into this thing. So maybe there's an image of a person on this slide or this photo, right? And then they put another picture and another whatever. But this person's soul is tied into this and can't escape from this screen. Maybe there are 3 screens back. I'm talking about different concepts in one here. Sorry. So hopefully you're getting this on a deeper level. If their soul's trapped into something, or you've signed your soul over to the devil and they've got you in another realm, special place in hell for those people, they're up here. And if you take all this down, they're so hooked into this system because that and hooked into their clones or their whatever that their soul will be trapped in here permanently. That's what I heard from the trees. So what we need to do is they're giving us this timeline and this timeline, and you're choosing between them because they've split off, right? And they're both spirals. I think it's called the Christ, Khryst, and then the Metatron. And so they're splitting off and you're choosing which way are you going, but these are spirals. We're just here still. And what I've been asking people to do is choose neither one. Let's create our own timeline where we control what happens on this, and it buys time, so to speak, but it buys a little time for this to continue to be taken down, and we get everybody. It also gives people time on this line to die. This person dies here, this person dies here, this person dies here, and then they can get out of here. So it gives this option where we can all get out, where these just keep us trapped. So if you're listening to all that stuff about the Christ spiral or Metatron, one's light, one's dark, we need to visualize our own, refuse these, say they're not real, but keep this one going here so we can keep this world going for a little while through our own intentions and give everybody time to reach the point where they're supposed to die, and then they can get out of here. But if we just crash this whole thing, do an X, cancels out. If we crash the entire thing, those that are hooked into it, let's say they're up here on this timeline, they're down here on this timeline, they're going to be trapped in here. So that's what I've seen. So, and I don't know, this is up to 150 years. It's probably a little less now than that, maybe 145 years, but maybe even less, but we need some kind of, it could be 10 years, just depending on how many people wake up and get out or how many people we can free, but we need some kind of transition or intermediary time. Excuse the use of the word time again, to get everybody out. So hopefully that makes sense. I'd love your thoughts. Let me know what you think. Let me see if you can explain some of this better than I did here. And I'm going to shut this off so that this isn't too long. Thanks everybody for your support. Please go to Patreon if you can and support. I give back over there. We're on Telegram, free place to discuss, but I am going to vet you if you go into the group. I'm not going to have any BS in there. I'm not going to get attacked by people in there when I'm already getting attacked in so many other ways. Screw that. Nor are you going to attack the people in there. But you can go to Telegram. There's a channel, and Where else am I? I'm all over the place on social media. So you can find me somewhere. All right. Thanks, everybody. And please share this video.